Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. All right, for today, there's a few news items I'd like to go over in the intro before we get into the main video. First, as you can see here, Gregor Truck on Twitter posted this photo. It was taken on Saturday by Brad Sloan during his drone flyover. And what we're seeing is a very interesting car carrier with at least two Cybertrucks. Now, this was over on the East New Car Staging and Transportation lot. And with the inset on the bottom left, you can clearly see that there are two Cybertrucks loaded up here. Now, what are they doing? I'm not 100% sure, but it's possible that these may be either heading out to California for more testing, or it could be going to the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration for crash testing. But in any case, very interesting to see this great development. And that wasn't the only big development that happened over the weekend. And on Saturday, during Jeff Roberts' flyover, another major milestone was achieved. As you can see by his Twitter post here, all 68 of the Megapacks have been in place, which is a great sign. However, just want to point out my viewers and Patreon, Desi Doolin, and also William Wheeler, want to caution everybody to say that just because all 68 are there doesn't mean that it's complete and ready for commissioning. There are a number of steps, as you can see in this long message that they sent me, and you can see by the arrows here. We got the circuit breakers that need to be installed, that transformer, the conduit, also some other electronic equipment. And in the left-hand photo, it shows you that we still need to have a perimeter fence. We also need to get the gravel mix put around the grade of the Megapacks. All of this will be taking place over the next several weeks. So hopefully by mid to the end of August, we might be able to see this Megapack commissioned and be operational. But anyway, great news nonetheless. The final item I want to discuss at the intro is just a reminder that we finished 3 years of construction here at Giga Texas. It's been an amazing journey from 2020 when they started with an abandoned sand and gravel mine and turned it into a growing and expanding Giga Texas that we see today. To help document this and just look back over the 3 years, did release a series of videos from the Quad Squad perspective. And as you can see here, we've had the group interview. We've had individual interviews with each member, Jeff, Jack, and Randy. And I hope that you have an opportunity to take a look at those videos. A lot of great information. So welcome to year 4. What's ahead of us? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out and share with you along the way. So there you have it. It's been a very busy weekend with a lot of news. 2 Cybertrucks at least on transport trucks leaving Giga Texas. We've seen all of the 68 Megapacks placed up at the Megapack site, with work continuing to prepare for commissioning, hopefully in August. And of course, the last look back of 3 years of construction from the perspective of the Quad Squad. I hope you enjoyed the information that we covered in the intro. So let's get into the drone and fly around the site and see what Giga Texas looks like today. A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patrons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good early morning from Giga Texas here on Monday. It's a great day to fly, and we'll start here on the southeast side. This intersection looks like 2 of the sections have concrete. The one on the left has been cross-cut already. The larger one's getting some forms, possibly some rebar. Maybe in this section here we'll have to monitor that. We can also see the rest of the road with the medians moving up towards the north and taking shape as well. As we fly up over this tree belt and the pond, I wanted to give you a closer look at some of the progress in this location where we know that Tesla has permitted and also provided a map showing a multi-level parking garage will be built in this general location. Now where I zoomed in, it looks like where this bulldozer is working, there's a grade change here. That may be to help protect this site from heavy rainwaters as it fills into that pond. But it'll be something to monitor to see what they actually do. This section is continuing to get more dirt in from the northeast of the battery cathode plant, and the bulldozers are spreading it around this section. So another area to keep monitoring to see if this is where construction is going to take place. The parking spot is full of vehicles, also with the trailers for the contractor working on this section. We also see that large pile of dirt here at the bottom right hand corner of the image, and that's being used to spread over this area. The east side of the building on this south end is, as always, busy with a lot of equipment, a lot of materials, deliveries, and just a lot of activity on this side. A lot of this material is being installed in that south end of the building where it's open. As we fly up over the power lines, I'll bring the drone down on this south end and we'll take a closer look at some of the activity going on here. The large cranes still haven't moved in quite some time, waiting to do that continuous flight auger pile system. In the meantime, more of the steel is being moved around here to assemble this extension of the building, although in the last several days haven't seen much as far as the extension. We do see that there's this guide wire here that's helping to support this unsupported beam and column on this end until the construction is done. As I fly around the crane, I will come back and try to give you a look inside Stamping 2. The lighting is very difficult. However, if we look inside this section, if you look up onto the bridge cranes in this bay of this area, you'll see that the bridge crane that was delivered last week, those two large pieces, that red one up on the top here with Tesla, has now been installed, and continued work going on inside this section and assembling that AIDA stamping press in the east bay. There's some interesting steel parts on the left here, and possibly something that's been removed, and then we see some other steel parts waiting here with some plumbing. As we fly over towards the west, we can see where more rebar is being stored, some parts for those tall cranes, and also work continues on this well, or at least the area around the well, and we'll come over and I'll give you a closer look here. Again, the grade seems to be quite high here, so I'm not sure how they're going to work with the height of these structures and the surrounding grades. So that's something to be watching. But they're continuing to do some more modifications around that section. Here on the temporary loading platform for the second floor, we see these green wrapped items on the right getting ready to be moved up. There's a bunch of them already on that platform that have been moved up, and of course the crane is unloading some of these looks like containers out of this truck to be moved up on top of that platform as well. Looks like there may be some white platform steel components as well, or maybe those are pipes. And then we see the trucks on the left with even more deliveries. So a lot of activity in this southwest corner. Here's another truck that's delivering some items. The sun is a little bit of a challenge, so I apologize for that, but I'll try to get you a good view here. The accordion truck has been opened up, and you can see there's 4 of these large items. There are some writing on that. It's really hard for me to be able to tell for sure with this lighting and the distance that I'm away, but again, just a lot of activity bringing more and more parts in, probably to support the assembly of the new assembly lines, General Assemblies 2 and 3 in this area. This section here has had all of the excess materials. Looks like that's cleaning out, and then the north part is having the equipment stored there temporarily. Here is some more materials that are being used for the assembly line construction inside. Now, next to where these workers are, there's some very interesting items here. I'll try to zoom in a little so you can see what these look like. But I'm not sure, but it almost looks like they're either pumps or they are some sort of mechanism, maybe electrical mechanism. If you know what those are, please let me know in the comment section. I would really like to know. But very interesting, and with the workers nearby, you get a sense of the scale of those items. As we fly up over these trees, I'll give you a look at the west main entrance, the steel columns and the beams. More of that stainless steel cladding has been added. They've also painted part of the edges white, and then they're putting the rails on the top where I believe we're going to see lighting effects. But pretty cool. Across the road next to the graffitied Cybertruck trailer, we see another large tree getting prepared to be installed here where that excavation is next to that small cyber wall. So continues to see landscaping and other activity here. This is the end of line section. I have seen a few Model Ys drive out of this section while I was here. I'm not sure what exactly the number or the rate, but they are continuing to obviously build Model Ys here and move them out here and prepare to go over to the east side. Now that we're on the west side, I really wanted to spend a time here to show you the amount of work that is going on in what is called the West Support Facility. At least that's what the permit is. It looks like quite a bit of activity with the earthwork in this particular location, trying to get the grade set up. It will extend the material staging, or now the West Warehouse on Wheels that you can see in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. And here is a center dump truck. I've just tried to give you some views here of what it's like when they are dumping their dirt here. Actually, the truck looks like it may have gotten stuck. After this white truck unloads, the bulldozer will go over and push that truck out, and that's pretty standard operating procedure. The south end where the road is being constructed, a lot of earthwork, a lot of removal of those remnants of the concrete debris. And then here on the west side, another major change. We see many electrical crews getting ready to start removing these lower power lines, specifically the ones that cross over this west side. And based on the activity here, it looks like a concerted effort to remove these is now underway. This may also be able to introduce electrical power to this section for things like lighting, maybe superchargers, support facilities. As I mentioned in my previous video, from what I have heard on site, is this area maybe the new car staging and transportation lot once it is completed. But as I pull away towards the north, this gives you a really good view of how this entire West Support Facility is taking shape. This area here where the material staging and the two white tents continues to be a busy location, but it wouldn't surprise me if at some point in the near future that starts getting removed. And then we can also see this roadway continuing up towards the north. This will eventually connect Tesla Road just behind the drone and River Road at the far end of this field. And this will allow a secondary entrance to this location. More materials stored here on the right-hand side. Most of these are steel components, and a lot of this is being moved into the building now, both on the south and on the north side. And we pick up the drone flight looking back across the highway to where we just came from. And despite the difficulty with the sun, that's what the little banding is the propellers through the sunbeams, I'll try to relocate the drone, use the shadow of the building to show you some of the changes here. Now that large crate remains, but the other item that was on the SPMT on my previous video has now been moved inside. So there's continuing to make progress with that. Also, as we wrap around this corner, we'll see some of the steel deliveries on these trucks to this northwest corner of the battery cell production section. And as I turn the drone around, try to use the shadow to prevent that sun issue, you can get a good idea of what this steel delivery looks like. There's more steel on the left-hand side on the ground. Now, interestingly enough, in that open door on the left, that's where you see that vehicle going in. This is where inside this area they're doing a lot of construction, and I actually was hearing quite a bit of it while I was flying the drone today, which is a little unusual. So it just tells you that there's quite a bit of activity going on inside with construction inside this part of the building as well. As I pan across the north end of the building, you can see what the north end of the paint shop looks like today, and also this trailer, which is being used for contractors for some of the construction on this side. As we pass over this conduit that's being installed on the left-hand side of the screen, on the right we can see the rack mounts for a lot of the castings. In fact, there's a forklift pulling some back to the south. It'll be taking it down to Body in White for production of vehicles. We see that trailer which says Elite Refractory Services. It's possible that that company is what is installing these giant, possibly furnaces that we were able to see in my video several days ago when I flew a night flight and was able to look inside. So very interesting, and a lot of activity continues on this side of the building. As we fly up over this small parking lot, we see that some of the rack mounts have been relocated, some of them moved off to the left. And then here in the center with these two open vaults, this is where a lot of the wiring is being installed through the conduits that connect the northeast corner of the building up here to the Megapack and the electrical switchyard sites. As we pass over this small material staging and the trailers, as we mentioned in the intro, all 68 of the Megapacks have now been installed, and also the 34 transformers along either side have been installed. On the left-hand side here, this truck is picking up all of the counterweights from this crane, which indicates that the crane itself is about to be moved off-site, no longer needed because of all of the Megapacks have been installed here, which is great. Now, as we also talked about in the intro, just because all of the transformers here and the Megapacks are installed on the ground, it doesn't mean that they're ready for commissioning. Quite a bit of work remains, especially here on the north end. What we are seeing is the assembly for all of the steel that will be part of the electronics necessary to connect the Megapack over to the electrical switchyard. On the ground, you see the work is continuing with those conduits that will help connect these sites. This concrete pad is going to be for a large transformer, and what I expect to see is kind of another concrete structure built around it that'll have a trough around it, and that is to collect any of the oil that's used to cool the transformer in case of an emergency. Next to it, that smaller foundation under construction is most likely going to be where some of the electric circuit breakers are installed once that pad is completed. And they may be the ones that are on the right-hand side of the screen, those V-top white circuit breakers. And again, this is a good view looking down at all of the rest of the work that needs to be done. And in addition to all of this electronic assembly and connections, they also need to get a security fence around this section installed, and then that whole grade covered with gravel before they can do the testing and then the commissioning of that Megapack. So we're probably still looking to mid to end of August before that happens. Now I'll bring the drone down here on the south end of the electrical switchyard. This underground vault is also important for all of those connections. And as you can see, they're working sort of on the middle and the east side. More forms, more rebar getting ready for the concrete to be poured. Also, you can see that temporary retaining wall, especially on that side that the concrete's already been completed, is being removed. So as we've talked about several times in the past, this is just a temporary wall. It's just for this construction. And as concrete is poured and that structure begins to take shape, they will start removing the entire retaining wall. So progress, but still several more weeks of work here before they'll be able to do the connections to the Megapack. So let's get ready to fly over to the battery cathode plant complex and take a look at the activity on that side of the site today. going to stop the drone here, looking back to the southwest across this clearing. What I wanted to show you is that that hill that used to be here is completely gone now. They're continuing to do more excavation work on this left-hand side of the screen, filling up those dump trucks, or those center dump trucks. And we've seen where they're going, either over where that multi-level parking garage is located or also across the highway to that west side. All of the materials here, the stainless steel tanks remain. A lot of activity here on the north end. And then next to this cell test lab smaller steel structure on the ground, we can see that they've been installing more of those steel corrugated pipes for the water management system, and it's continuing to progress over towards the west on the north face of the battery cathode plant. This structure continues to see form work, rebar work, concrete's been poured, some of the base has already been cross-cut, and we can see what looks like to be two drains. And you can get a really good view here of how this is starting to shape up. I'm not sure what this is for. I've had a lot of viewers suspect that maybe this is used for water driving testing, maybe floating testing for the Cybertruck. I don't know about that, but I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. This structure continues to have that yellow moisture barrier, a lot more of the rebar, the plumbing for the piping in the middle, possibly for drains. And this close-in view gives you a really good look at the activity. This section has had concrete poured now, and you can see how that's shaping up. In the middle is also where that drain is located. And then the walls have been extended farther to the south. Some of them have been poured, some of them still have the formwork, and then that small vault underneath the ground looks like it is getting ready for more concrete work. And on the south end, we can also see where that conduit was installed. So overall, that's how the east side of the battery cathode plant looks today. Now I'm going to take a look from a higher altitude down into the alleyway to give you a view of how this looks today, the chiller plant. And I'll take this opportunity to give you a kind of a bird's eye look straight down to get a chance to see how this looks today and how it's starting to shape up. The lighting with the sun low in the morning is very difficult, so it's really not possible for me to come in at the other angle and give you good views. This west side continues to see work with the trenching in the middle. Looks like they are doing some large trenching on the north end, more of the steel corrugated pipe waiting to be installed. And then here on the north end, you can see the receiving doors and those small retaining walls with that apron section going into those receiving doors. And I expect to see concrete in the near future in that area. As we fly south along this west side, let's get a good view of the die shop building, that section where the concrete was poured for rails for the gantry crane. And also this west side looks like they're widening that berm now, more encroaching into the Martin Marietta plant section. As we get over to the north staging lot, on the right hand side of the screen, the TKS paint system items continue to be stored waiting for installation. There's a crane, looks like it's getting ready to unload a delivery that's coming in soon. And then all of these cars are the overflow for the employees because the east parking lot is so full. And that's partly because of more employees, but also because of the change to day-night shift. Here we stop and take a look at the new car staging and transportation lot. This is what I think is eventually going to be relocated over to that west side, west support facility that we were looking at earlier in the video. The new car testing and calibration lot with the white wind tunnel and the Rainmaker device next to that blue trailer looks busy today. I'm going to take this opportunity to give you a different view of this clearing location where that multi-level parking garage is most likely going to go. And then here at that testing and calibration lot, you can see these white Model Ys being driven on this test strip. And this is where they do some of the final testing of the vehicles before they're moved over for transport. As we fly over the superchargers, we see a new tent has been erected there. Also, the temporary supercharger with a Megapack on that truck, and also some more work here with that steel corrugated pipe for the rainwater management system in front of that secondary entrance. This section with the concrete removed is still getting plumbing, and this apron will be replaced soon. probably in the next couple of weeks. And this section looks like they are pouring some more concrete over the section that they removed so that they could put the conduit that runs along this entire side of the berm and the apron, and that eventually connects up to the Megapack site and the electrical switch yard. So there you have it, a pretty quick view and look around Giga Texas today. And I hope that you enjoyed the views and the amount of the site that we were able to see today. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I do very much appreciate it. And as a reminder, we're starting the 4th year of construction here at Giga Texas. So pretty cool. So I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care.